Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be walking you through how I beat a top 70 chess player in the world. It was an online game, so unfortunately, did not beat a top 70 player in the world in person. Just to give some context, so this game was played on May 6th, 2025, which I believe was this past Tuesday, which obviously makes sense because this is late Title Tuesday. So Title Tuesday is a tournament basically on chess.com where all title players are allowed to play, and you pretty much just play like a tournament with title players, which is basically people with a title such as Grandmaster or, for me, National Master. Just basically like something that symbolizes that certain titles you can achieve through playing chess. I played this game and I was currently 5 out of 8 in the tournament, 5 wins and 3 losses. And usually at that stage of the tournament, I expect to play a good player, but not someone who's like super high up. And the player I played was Dmitry Kollars, who is rated 3,000. And as you can 3,000 is not only the highest rating of someone I've beat online, even higher than the chess video I posted recently. But it's also this player has the highest in-person rating of anyone I've beat online or in person. From your Wikipedia page, you can see he peaked at 2659 in September of 2024, which was good for a nice number 69 in the world. Guy's only 25 too, like really strong player. And I was, pretty hyped to get the matchup. While playing this tournament and this game, I was not the most focused. I was actually kind of like on a phone call the whole time, and I was like, "Oh crap! Like, let me lock in for this game because I know if I can get a win, that would be huge." Obviously, wasn't expecting it though. Anyways, I'll walk quickly through the game, just to kind of show what happened. I played this opening called the London System. Some of you might be familiar with it. One of the openings I've been playing a decent amount recently, and we end up getting this opening that I actually am very, very familiar with. It's like probably one of the openings I would say this is like a branch of the London System, and it's one of them I would say I actually have like probably some of the best knowledge on in the whole world. Like I would honestly say like maybe top 10 in the whole world in terms of knowledge about this specific line right here after this position. And pretty much the idea is, and I'll explain why I have so much knowledge about this, is you can see that my pawn is already all the way on b7, and kind of a lot has happened up until this point that I might have played through a little bit too fast. So let me just give like a quick rewind. But basically, throughout the opening, he kind of like sacrifices his pawn that I take, which a lot of people usually don't take. And he's basically finding ways to attack this pawn while I'm doing my best to protect it and like basically say, okay, I want a pawn. Like, what are you going to do about it? And we end up reaching this position where, my pawn's all the way over on b7, 1 square away from promotion. And he has to move his rook. And once he moves his rook, I'm going to take his knight and I'm going to be up a piece. And you may be wondering, like, why is white like not just like Loki winning after that? Like, why you're up a whole piece and you have a pawn on b7? But you can see the engine evaluation right here is 0.00, which for those of you who are like not too familiar with chess computers, means that the position is considered dead equal, which is like classic engine in this crazy position is dead equal. But pretty much the idea is that, and I'll expand on this a little bit, is that once I take this knight on b8, I will be up a piece, but none of my pieces have developed at all. You can see that black already has, 3 pieces and this rook on a semi-open file out. And I do have my bishop out and my knight out, but my knight's in a pin, and I am 3 moves away from castling on the king side. So he's going to be able to take advantage of the fact that I have no development and my king is stuck in the center and going to be able to put a lot of pressure on me there. So a little extra funny context is I posted about this article I wrote a couple or not article I wrote, article I was featured in, as you can see this picture that a lot of people find funny. UCLA's board 2 Ashton Jin won in spectacular style in round 1. Nice little glaze from Anna Vanessa. But the game of the match or game of the day was actually my game in this collegiate chess match. And in this, if you pay attention to this position, you'll notice that it is very similar to the one I just showed in the above game, except, what do you know? I'm playing black in this game, and my opponent was playing white. So the reason why I have so much knowledge about this line is because I've played it with both colors. I have a grandmaster friend who I've analyzed it with both colors, and I've known about this line for like 7 years, and kind of it's recently become popular. So just a little blurb there, not super important, but yeah. But this is where we deviate, because in that game, I played the move rook to a3, which is the engine's top line. And in this game, my 3000 opponent played rook to a7, which is also a line, but something I wasn't too familiar with. So for all that bragging I did about knowing this line also well, clearly I did not know everything. So kind of the nicer part about like knowing the opening super well in this game, more than like being comfortable, is just getting a time advantage. So off rip, you can already see I'm close to 3 minutes. And something I should have said at the beginning of this video is that the game is 3-1. So it's 3 minutes with a 1 second increment, which means it's 3 minutes you start with, and then you get 1 second for every move you make. So I've already spent almost no time. Meanwhile, my opponent has not spent a lot of time, but 30 seconds is substantial in such a short game. So I take the knight, he takes a pawn, I move my bishop back to e5, he castles. I play my knight out, and I'm kind of trying desperately hard to castle right here, so I play bishop to d3. He kicks my bishop. I move it back. He moves his knight here. I block with my queen, and pretty much you can kind of see exactly what happens. Like, I am up a full minor piece. He has he doesn't even have a pawn exchange for it, but you can see that he's really putting a lot of pressure on me. I'm one move away from castling, but my queen is in a very awkward position, and in general, like my pieces are not super well placed. So in exchange for my piece, I have a kind of rough position. So he moves his rook to c8, and this is definitely a move that is a little dangerous, because now all of a sudden he has a lot of discovered ideas on my queen once he moves his knight. Now you will notice though that his rook is not protected, and his knight cannot move to a square that protects that rook. So if he were, say it's black's move, and if he were to take here, I would just take his rook. But with that being said, I didn't really have a good move in this position. I think you immediately think, okay, why doesn't white just castle, right? And castling is actually what I did, but I spent a good 11 seconds on it. And after castling, what I was initially scared of, and I think a lot of you guys will be able to immediately point out, is black can move their knight to e2, check. And this accomplishes the goal of attacking my queen and giving a check at the same time. So I would take this knight, he would take my queen, and I would have to take it back, right? With what rook, I'm not sure, but we'll just say this one. And this is what we had both seen, but the idea was, because I was up a piece before, he just gave me his knight and his rook for my queen. So in exchange for his queen that he's up, I have one knight, 2 knights, and a rook. So I have 2 knights and a rook for his queen, and using point calculation, a queen is worth 9, 2 knights are worth 6, a rook is worth 5. So I'm still up 2 points of material, and both the engine and we both evaluated this to be quite good for me. So he did not play his knight to e2, and instead he played his pawn to e5, which threatens to go pawn to e4 and fork my bishop and knight. So at this point, I was beginning to panic, and there's this saying out there that goes, to beat a really good chess player, you have to beat them like 3 times within the same game, right? And this is kind of how I felt. Like, I was like, I beat him out of the opening. I got an opening I'm super familiar with. I had a huge time advantage. I'm up a piece. And even though it's kind of complicated, like everything I wanted, I got. And yet here I'm sitting in this position, and I'm realizing like, this is not a good mentality to have, but I was like, I'm definitely going to find a way to lose this. So I actually managed to find a pretty good move here. I moved my king to h1. And that's to just avoid any ideas of this knight to e2, even though I wasn't scared of it in the previous position. Like, it's an idea that's going to exist for a long time. So let's just get rid of any possible checks he has. So he forced me, and now I go bishop to a6, attacking his rooks. He takes my knight. I take back, because I don't need to rush to take this, because even if he moves this rook, I'm going to be able to take the other one. So I just take the pawn back. And he moves his bishop to a3. And this is where I kind of begin to really lose the quote-unquote thread of the game. I should move my queen to this e1 square. When I was sitting there, I just did not see this at all. I only could see the d2 square to move my queen to. And I thought this was not really good, because he moves his rook in and begins to attack me. And I just didn't love this position, even though this is probably better than what I did in the game. But if I moved my queen to e1, he wouldn't have a way to attack my queen anymore, and I would have been able to take one of his rooks on the next move. But instead, I guess I was just in a sacrificial mood, and I decided to sacrifice my queen, and I took his rook on the b7 square. So he took my queen, and now I took his rook. So you'll notice that once again here, I still am up material because this is a kind of a similar imbalance we talked about earlier, but we both have a knight, we both have a dark squared bishop, and we both have a light squared bishop. But I have 2 rooks for his queen, which is usually good for the 2 rooks. And along with that, I still have this passed a pawn on the a file. So a lot is going on here, and we're both under 40 seconds, but it's a very complicated game. And now he makes a move bishop to b2. And this is where I think I probably have my biggest choke of the game. So at this point, I obviously, you see your rook is under attack. And I think almost any of you watching this can see I only have 1 square my rook can move to where it's undefended, right? And that's this e1 square. So the best move for me is rook a to e1. And I saw this during the game, but my thought was this is just kind of giving him all the chances to attack me. He's going to move his bishop here, and he's going to force my hand again. And then he's going to move his knight here. And at this point, I can't really save all my pieces because the only square my rook can go to is here. And then he would take my bishop, I would take back, and he'd take back my rook. And this is kind of what I calculated, and I thought to myself, like, maybe this is fine. But also, like, he is just constantly, like, attacking me and gaining the initiative, and I have, like, nothing good going for me. And at best, I'm probably going to draw this position. So I thought about it for 20 seconds, which is half my remaining time. Bad decision by me once again. And I just moved my bishop to a6 because my thought process was I'm just going to give up this rook, and I need to get my bishop kind of out of no man's land. So, okay, my bad. I just got a call from an NPC. Okay, so I moved my bishop. He just called me again. Okay. And then he took my rook. I took back. And this is kind of when I realized I'm almost certainly going to lose this game. Okay, so queen to a3. The engine really doesn't like this move, but I thought this was the most obvious move by far. I moved my knight to d4. Queen b2. Now, this was probably his best chance of the game to get a very easy win. Had he seen this move, bishop to d1, next move, what he's going to do is he's going to move his queen here, and then my rook's going to be trapped, and there's nothing I can do about it. So this would have been his best chance to get an easy win. But we were both pretty low on time, him having 22 seconds, me having 17. So we were both kind of just playing moves quickly. So he moved his queen here. I moved my rook here. And at this point, I was pretty sure I was going to lose the game. But I began to realize this wasn't so easy for my opponent to win. So my opponent played his pawn to h5. I moved my pawn to h4, just trying to give my bishop some space. And then I realized, oh, he has his knight to e4, where now there's no way for me to defend this bishop without ruining my pawn structure. So I moved my rook to e2. He took. I had to take back because it was check. Notice I cannot take the queen because it is checked. So I took back. Queen to b6, bishop to d3. And yeah, once again, at this point, like, even though I was super pessimistic and I was like, I'm so low on time. And once again, I'm only playing on a touchpad and I was playing on my couch. So it was like, yeah, I was not taking this as seriously as I should have. But I began to realize, like, it is not easy for my opponent to win this at all because I just have a really good kind of fortress going. Like, how does black make progress? So he tries to bring his king in. We both shuffle our pieces around for a bit. Kind of some boring stuff happens. I attack his pawn. Okay. He attacks mine, so I defend it. I move back. And we end up kind of shuffling around for a while, and I'm moving my king back and forth, and he's repeating, and I'm like, please, I'd be very, very happy with the draw here. He obviously doesn't want it, and I'm down to 4 seconds here, so I'm just playing on the last seconds I have. And I specifically remember this moment feeling very lucky, because after he moved his queen to d2 check, I did not see initially that I could block with the knight. Otherwise, I would have to move my king somewhere where there's no square where there's no square where I can simultaneously protect my rook because this square is covered by the bishop. So, but luckily I had this move, which keeps the game going at least. And at this point, I was just like, okay, like I didn't see any moves for me besides trading and then going here. So I had to give up this pawn because now his queen protects this pawn. But still, after I moved my rook here, I began to realize, like, not so easy for my opponent to win because my knight protects my rook, my king protects my knight. And if I just shuffle my king back and forth between these, like, 3 squares, specifically these 2, like, how is black going to win this game? So I'm down to 2 seconds, and, like, I'm holding on for dear life, but it's kind of all working out for me in some ways. So he's bringing his king in. I'm just shuffling my king back and forth. And at this point, I realized that if I continue with my plan of shuffling my king, my opponent is going to sacrifice his queen back. and pretty much his pawn is going to be faster than mine. And also, like, if I move here, he's just going to stop it immediately. So I realized I couldn't do that. And this was probably the moment I'm proudest of the whole game, not just immediately playing this. And I got ahead of the curve, and I pushed my pawn to e4. And now, if he sacrifices, his king cannot stop my pawn, because my pawn is one square ahead of where his king would be. So he moves his queen here. Now I'm putting my rook behind the pawn. And now I'm suddenly realizing, like, oh, this is not simple at all. I made that last move with 0.7 seconds left. So I was literally playing on the increment. He moves his queen back. I push my pawn. I move my knight here. And at this point, the best move was for me to give a check and then push my pawn, but I was just moving under seconds. So I was just panicking. Moved here. Moved back. Moved here. And he plays this move g4, which at first looks good because he's attacking my knight and my knight is pinned to my king, so I can't move it. But this actually turns out to be a very big mistake because I push my pawn once more. He moves the queen here, and now I can move my knight, and I'm threatening to give this fork between his king and queen. So he moves his king there, but now I move my knight here, attacking his queen. He moves his queen here, and he's going to win my knight, but I just push my pawn. He takes. I go here. He gives me a check. But there's no way for him to stop me from promoting. So he moves his pawn here, but I just ignore it. I promote. Takes. And here, I'm still under 5 seconds, and I'm talking to my friend on call, and I go, hold up, I'm completely winning, right? There's no way I choke this. But, like, it's still just nerve-wracking because he still has this pawn, he still has a queen on the board, and I always mess up winning positions. So I'm like, I'm going to mess this up somehow, right? But luckily, he moves his king to d4. And at this moment, like, I actually initially, what I did here was I had king takes g4 pre-moved. Because my queen and rook are defending each other. And a pre-move is basically where, like, you like default to make the move no matter what your opponent does. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I can take this pawn no matter what happens next move. And if my opponent protects it, then the pre-move just doesn't go through, right? But at the last second, I cancel it. And my opponent moves his king here. And I have checkmate right there. So kind of a topsy-turvy crazy game. Like, I had a pretty good opening. I got fortunate that I didn't have to spend much time there. And then I made a bunch of mistakes. He completely outplayed me. But, like, at the very moment where it looked completely lost for me, I realized that, like, it wasn't so easy for him. And I just made a bunch of moves as fast as I could. Kind of just, like, shuffled my pieces around. And then he kind of, like, overpressed at the end. Took some unnecessary risks. Or maybe some necessary risks to try to win the game because he obviously did not want to draw a peasant like me. And pretty much, like, everything just worked out for me and I managed to win. Like, somehow in this position, like, with one pawn on the board, like, my king was just completely safe. And he had no checks in this position, which is a miracle. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I just wanted to show how, I beat top 70 player in the world. Was very happy about that. And I, appreciate everyone watching. And I will see you guys later once I figure out how to stop recording because I'm botting out.